Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Our webinar today is titled Simplifying Application Management with Citrix and Liquidware FlexApp One integration. I'm Kristen McGargle, Senior Marketing Manager here at Liquidware, and we're happy that you've joined us today. This webinar is being recorded. You'll receive a link to the recording within one business day, and you can use that to review or share with a colleague. If at any point today you have a question or a comment, you can place it in the Q&A feature, and we will address it as time allows. Today's webinar, we have Yashu Arora, Senior Product Manager with Citrix, Jason E. Smith, VP of Product Marketing and Alliances with Liquidware, and Johnny Moss, Senior Solutions Architect with Liquidware. Jason, you want to get us started?
Thanks, Kristen. We're excited about this webinar today. This has been a long time coming, at least over a year and a half. We started collaborating with Citrix for tighter collaboration, and so pleased to be delivering this to you today, as we just recently announced this. We always start Liquidware webinars with just a little bit about the company. So we'll level set with this slide, then we'll move into exactly the product and the integration that we have with Citrix. Liquidware provides the most digital employee experience coverage than any other vendor in the industry. And by that, I mean that we not only monitor and optimize the experience through our solution, Stratosphere UX, user experience, which you would normally think about, you hear about DEX solutions a lot, but a lot of them are only limited to monitoring. And while Stratosphere is a very robust end-to-end monitoring solution, it is the digital employee monitoring piece of our digital employee experience solution set. We can control and the environment with the DEX with our user environment management, app management solution known as Profile Unity. It actually manages the digital employee experience. So when you log off, all the goodwill and the persona and the settings and everything are saved, and they're ready to go to the next version of Windows or any way you deliver Windows in the future. So if you're wanting to, just as an example, add several more Citrix users to an environment, we could harvest the data from an existing Windows environment or any other type of platform, VDI or DaaS, and we could inject it right into the new Citrix session. We also deliver digital employee experience, an excellent one, delivering applications with FlexApp. So we all know that Windows, and the heart of why we all run Windows is because the applications that are built for Windows and the applications that are delivered by Windows, and FlexApp delivers digital employee experience by delivering applications in this way. And then our new solution is real-time remediation with command control. It actually allows you to control the digital employee experience for help desk operations, to reach out and touch someone to remedy anything that goes astray. And it complements Stratosphere in the way that Stratosphere gives you historic data and near-time data, but the real-time remediation solution complements it from command control, allowing you to, like I said, reach out and touch someone. You can look at the processes running on a machine. It includes a feature known as a DVR feature, so you can go back in time, or you can go forward to real time in there. So if someone calls the help desk and they say that the issue is happening an hour or more ago, you simply just slide the scale backwards and you start to see all the telemetry data, not screen scraping recording, but telemetry data that was happening on that machine at the time. So you can really pinpoint what is occurring on the endpoint and remedy it as soon as possible, kill processes, and do a lot of things without actually taking over that machine. But you can also take over the session as well as a last resort through a couple of different technologies, whichever one's most compatible and most secure for your environment. All these solutions work across any way you deliver Windows, virtual, cloud, and physical. And then we also support Linux-based desktops for the monitoring that we do with Stratosphere UX. So circling back around to the solution that we're going to be speaking about the most today, it's our FlexApp application delivery solution. It provides dynamic applications into an environment to where you're not truly installing them there, you're attaching them there with a very high rate of compatibility. And at this point, I want to reintroduce Yashu Arora, who'll tell you about our collaboration with Citrix in the next couple of slides.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Jason. So, as was already mentioned, I'm a senior product manager here at Citrix, and app package delivery is one of my ownership areas, where we've recently collaborated with Liquidware, and the collaboration is basically now live in all of the DaaS tenants. Before I dive into the integration with Liquidware, let me just speak about the most recent app packaging innovations that we've done here at Citrix. So now you can use the Citrix Web Studio and the very familiar paradigm that comes with it to manage accesses, discover and publish AppV packages, MSIX packages, app attached disks as VHD and VHDXs, and also FlexApp One packages. So you can manage all of the accesses for your Citrix endpoints as well as your users in a single place. In the future, we're also working to extend the same workflow to Elastic App Layers, which is Citrix's own signature app layering format. And also we're extending it to SimFS, which is another file format that you can deliver app attached disks in. This would be coming up later this year or early next year. So packages at the moment can be delivered as both seamless applications, which means you can access them using Workspace or Storefront, as well as to the desktop in a single click. When we say to the desktop, you'd find the application packages, all of the ones that are mentioned above, in the start menu. You should be able to see the package and have an experience very similar to almost a native application, wherein we are seeing great performance as far as app launch time is concerned. And users, as I mentioned, get to have almost a native experience. Can we go to the next slide, Jason? So here, I just quickly want to walk you through what we mean by the Liquidware integration. So if you have pre-packaged Liquidware FlexApp One packages, you can now deliver them using Web Studio. So you'd host those packages in a source, which could be an Azure file share or a UNC path that all of your Citrix endpoints have access to. Essentially, your endpoint would have to have like a service account which has access to the file share location. And then once you've discovered the packages that are hosted in the file share, you can then add them to delivery groups. After adding them to delivery groups, you can also limit visibility on a per user basis. And once you deliver it to or add them to the delivery groups, they'd be available both as a seamless application, which means in workspace, as well as on the desktop. So specifically for the FlexApp One packages, you'd need the FlexApp service on the Citrix image. And the easiest way to install it on the image is to run a FlexApp application, and then you'd get a dialog box which would ask you to install the service. Upon clicking yes, the service would be installed on your image, and you should be good to go. As I mentioned earlier, this is now available in all DaaS tenants, so it doesn't need to be toggled on. If you have a DaaS tenant, you should be able to see the option to discover a FlexApp One package in a file source that you've hosted it to. What you'd need on the VDA side of things is you'd either need the 2311 current release or the most recent LTSR. Also, this is also coming up in on-prem with the CR that will come later this year, as well as the LTSR that will come early next year. I also wanted to mention that all future innovations that we do for other app packages, we'd be extending it to Liquidware FlexApp One packages as well. The work that's in the pipeline at the moment is we want to be able to set visibility for app packages. So you get to determine whether you want to deliver an app package as a seamless app or on the desktop. Right now, we deliver it to both. And also you get to set up a priority order. Why we needed to set a priority order was there are certain mission critical applications, let's assume Putty or some kind of an IDE that profiles such as developers would need earlier on. So setting a priority would be able to help us deliver packages in case there's like a host of packages, some 20 packages that you're trying to deliver onto the VDA early on. So the mission critical packages would be higher priority and would be made available immediately on logon. So I think that covers it as far as speaking about the integration is concerned. If there are any questions, I can address them in the chat or later in the session.
That's great, and great to remind the people watching that we'd love to take your questions at any time. We do have a poll question that I'd intended on referring to a couple of slides ago. Kristen, do you have that for us now? So how many of you run the following? How many of you run the following today? Which types of applications do you deliver in your environment, in your Citrix environment, we assume? Application layering, Microsoft AppV, MSIX, or FlexApp?
We'll just give them just a minute here, just to keep filling that out. Thank you for those that are already filling those out.
Yep, as soon as you vote, we can move on to the next slide. So go ahead and get your votes in.
Okay, I think we have the majority of those in, and then we can share our results. Okay, so we have 39% application layer, 28% AppV, 11% MSIX, and 22% FlexApp.
Interesting.
Take a quick pick.
Yeah, interesting numbers, and we may, I guess, probably skew those numbers a little bit by having both Citrix and Liquidware customers probably that have replied to today, but pretty even across the board. Citrix app layering leading the charge there. We'll talk about some of the key differences in some of these in the next few slides. Very interesting. We'll have another poll question in just a few slides.
Okay.
All right, so that leads me to the next slide. And why the perfect complement of FlexApp and Citrix, and why did we agree to integrate and to work together more closely? I should state, to get this collaborative solution, you do need to be a customer of both. There's not a bundle directly available in any channel area yet. But if you do have you've licensed both, you do get to use the complementary technology that you'll see today. The big thing here is that FlexApp complements Citrix delivery strategies by minimizing base image management. We'll get to this on another slide in a moment, and we'll really outline the number one thing that we are solving together by doing this, and it's minimizing the number of base images that you need to maintain and deliver, especially to a large Citrix enterprise and one that has many applications. The other reason that FlexApp makes a lot of sense to joint customers is that the compatibility rating for FlexApp is incredibly high. When you look at some other technologies out there, we've mentioned a few of them today, 90 to 100% of your applications could be very well compatible with Citrix and FlexApp. With FlexApp being that if there is some apps that are not compatible in your environment, and sometimes those are security apps, things that should indeed, by our recommendations, probably joint recommendations, be part of your base image, obviously you wouldn't deliver those. But if you agreed that all your applications could be delivered by FlexApp and we were successful in delivering those, you would be at 100%. That's why there's a little bit of variance there. So you can typically do as many applications as you wish to get to that end goal of having a minimal number of base images. The solution works very well for large and complex applications. We've proven that we've been able to deliver even Epic, which is one of the largest applications that anybody ever comes across. Applications like Sterner, computer-aided design type applications also tend to be complex and very large, and we've been successful in delivering AutoCAD, many others in that area. FlexApp is well adopted in the industry and has some of the most integrated partners of any solution in the industry for attached applications. I'll touch on those in a moment. But to name some of them, we have collaboration, of course, with Microsoft, with Citrix, with organizations and other alliance partners like Remo3 that do testing and validation and application readiness. IT access management, and just are some of the solutions that we're fully compatible with and have alliances with, as well as compatible with any way you deliver Windows. It doesn't necessarily compete with MSIX and AppV. It's complementary. You need to do an application strategy when you map out how you want to deliver your applications, and you want to see what's the best in delivering those applications. It's because technologies like AppV may still have a strong point in having full isolation. Now, FlexApp, has micro isolation. We'll touch on in a moment, and we will. We have some planned action in there very soon for full isolation. There's other reasons why you might want to have in the mix some of these other things. And if an application is natively written for MSIX, very well could use that, and you could use app attach. So in those ways, they don't compete. You can also take those, it's important to note, and you can attach them as FlexApp packages, so you can standardize in the way that you're delivering these applications. The technology FlexApp is compatible, fully compatible with our customers are using PVS or MCS and even Citrix app layering with those. And sometimes they choose to leave some of their updates for the OS and the way that Citrix app layering can do things there in certain applications, and then choose FlexApp for reasons already stated, such as the high compatibility rate and the way that it can work across any Windows desktop. The FlexApp integration is based on FlexApp One containers, which is the technology we'll go into here in a moment that makes our application containers highly dynamic. That way, nothing else is needed to deploy the application other than a way to get it to the endpoint. And Citrix Web Studio is indeed an excellent way to do that, and that's where the integration comes into play. I will also say that the integration is also based on the fact that we jointly, Citrix and FlexApp, we spoke to many customers before we, joint customers before we kicked this off, and there was a strong desire for our joint customers to be able to deploy FlexApp One containers directly from within the Citrix management framework. The innovations that FlexApp has in the space, you'll see throughout today's demo, and you may have also heard about. I'll just run through some of these really quick. We were the first in the market with true apps on demand. Click to layer. If the application is not clicked on, if you deliver it this way, it's not actually attached, so there's no impact to log in. Applications that run anywhere was also truly an innovation from Liquidware. And when I mean anywhere, FlexApp One packages can even go offline if you've got some of your users using Windows laptops, and you can take them and go offline. But anywhere also means any type of platform, and Citrix is a leading one there, of course. We have micro isolation there. It's not the same as full isolation. It's file and registry based. That way it takes care of any interrupts like a common DLL overlap or conflict. FlexApp focuses only on the apps. We do not layer the OS, and that's why it's a great complement if you want to use Citrix app layering for layering things in the OS itself, or even if you're using it for the app layering features, if you want to complement it. We only focus on Windows apps. And once they're packaged, they can go across any other Windows instance, so you don't have to repackage them for another scenario. Applications are only attached, and so we innovated this area, in this area of the industry with the services, the service that makes that happen. You'll see that today in the demo. The fully automated app packaging I'll touch on shortly. We package applications incredibly quickly. Through the FlexApp packaging console, which you run on a virtual machine, it's as quick as installing an application. Literally is. We do have a few recipes for more complex applications, but then we've got the full automated packaging infrastructure as well, or architecture you can roll out. And then we've already discussed FlexApp One, and we'll go a little bit deeper here. So what it is a self-contained file, and these I'll show you at the end of today's webinar where you can go out and you can download some. We've already packaged it up for you. We have about 9 packages out there that are ready for you to deploy in your Citrix DaaS environment, assuming you have this 2311 or later version that has the functionality in there to attach them. And they continue to run as native. They're not isolated with FlexApp One. As I said, they can even go offline if you're running it in a laptop scenario with traditional Windows. FlexApp distribution of packages by any means necessary. And of course, that gave us a great way to have hooks directly with Citrix Web Studio to deploy these apps, what today's webinar is all about. And then the business agility that you can gain with any app is incredible here. You can deploy those at any time. You can also add OAuth authentication to any app, not on the slide, but I'm telling you, you can, because we've got all that functionality built in there. So if there is a need to change the way you're delivering your desktops at any given moment, or to birth scale to more Citrix desktops to support more users for work from home or any scenario, it's easy to do that with FlexApp One. Back to the main challenge of what we're solving here is base image management sprawl. If you look at the top of this graphic, the gray part with the 6 windows, what we're dealing here with is 6 base images. So that reminds me, Kristen, I believe this is the slide where we want to ask this question, the next poll question. It is, how many base images do you actually manage? 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, or 15 to 20. And by this, we mean in a Citrix or any way that you do a multi-session environment. Or even if you have multiple base images for a VDI environment. Because after all, a base image is a base image you can use in physical or virtual desktops.
Okay, about half of the people have responded so far. You would just take a moment to place your vote. A few more seconds. Okay, a few more coming in. Okay. Oh, we're still going. Thank you for voting. Okay, we will show results. Okay, so about 50% 1 through 5, 25% 6 through 10, 8% 11 through 15, and 17 15 to 20 or more.
That's great. I want to grab this image real quick.
That's a great idea.
So some of the reasons, thank you for responding, everyone. Some of the reasons for multiple base images, of course, and just to level set the group in case there's new people here, that you deliver apps. And I would like to get the input from Yashu and Johnny on this. But one of the reasons is that you may be delivering Citrix desktops to many different types of profiled people, like the marketing department, like the accounting department, like a shop floor. And you need to have the applications that they need access to in that base image. And that is a very solid way to deliver applications. It's a very reliable way to do that, but there's a lot of overhead in doing that. You start to have base image sprawl, sometimes not only for that, but also for licensing of applications where they're not needed in other areas. So then, if you just rattle off 6 different departments of any major company that's using Citrix, you would have 6 base images in this example here. You can end up with many more, as you saw in today's survey. Did I miss anything, Yashu or Johnny, why you might have multiple base images in an environment?
I mean, one thing that I can cover is in case of mergers and acquisitions, you might acquire like newer business units, and then those new business units might be using different applications altogether. That means either setting up new images or inheriting images that they already had with the pre-installed applications that they used. Also, there might be a change in how you're managing your organization hierarchy, which might change the applications that you want to provide access to certain functional domains, and that would drastically change how you're managing the image for that domain. I think, Jason, you'd be covering it further. All of that can be done, like resolved or curbed altogether if we are using application packages.
Yeah.
But those are 2 scenarios which I can think of.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's everything wrapped up in the multiple departments, mergers, acquisitions, multi-domain configurations, any of those bits and pieces that exist in folks' world, to force them to build separate configurations, even though they may be delivering, 80, 90% of the same applications, and that 20 to 10% of the application set is what differentiates one department from the other.
Yep. And licensing is another one. So you may have a suite of solutions, say Adobe Creative Suite, but you're only licensed to have part of the suite on some desktops, or another part on another set of desktops. So you may be delivering it that way too. Another one is things our micro isolation might solve, and that's if you end up having an application-to-application conflict on a file-by-file level, or a registry level, then you decide you've got to put it in a different base image to do that. Maybe another thing, another reason why. So we have successfully been able to get customers down to a single base image. And I know there's one in Johnny's geographical area that we have. We've been able to drastically reduce the number of base images, but in some cases we're able to get them down to a single base image. A hospital healthcare network, we were able to get down to a single base image. And to do that, you deliver your desktops a little differently, and it is a Citrix environment that we're in that case, and it is that you focus on the applications themselves, and you deliver them with FlexApp. You see that in the left. Now just think about the applications themselves. Now for any Windows environment, in this case a Citrix environment, you have a base image over on the right, and imagine the user's logged in. They basically have the base image OS. The FlexApp service is a single service that runs on that OS, and then we have context-aware delivery if you're delivering it through our control plane. And we also have assignment criteria now with Citrix Web Studio, where you can assign it per group and get those department groupings and things like that. And then those applications you see on the right-hand side of the bottom part, those are dynamically assembled as soon as the user logs in, and certain things ring true. They may be part of the accounting group, so they get the applications that they get. They may be part of the manufacturing floor group, so they get different applications, but they're leveraging the same backend Citrix servers for the same base image. So you can see how you could drastically reduce the number of base images. Can't always get to one. There might be some use cases or scenarios where you can't, but you can drastically reduce them in the overhead that it takes. Now you're only having to patch a minimal number of base images for the OS itself, and perhaps as small as one. The other side effect that you get in doing this, and it's easy to update applications this way with FlexApp too. The other side effect that you get is that applications are never really installed on that base image. So they're kept incredibly clean. And in that way, I do have a slide coming up here that describes that. And that is, if you look at the way normally a Windows app is installed to any Windows OS, you see on the left that it modifies the system folders. It also modifies the registry. In this account, it's basically tattooing with permanent ink the OS and the registry in some certain cases. And you say, well, I have an uninstaller. But if you've ever uninstalled an app, there are files left behind a lot of times. And sometimes those are left behind in case you ever reinstall, so all those customizations are kept that you once had and things like that. But sometimes services get left behind and other things that could cause degradation of that machine over time. So you try to cleanly uninstall something from the base image, and it simply doesn't do it justice. And maybe you didn't snapshot your base image management back to the right point in time, and your system gets tattooed with all these things. If you look at the right-hand side, the application's never installed. There is a Windows service that makes it think it's installed. It looks like it's installed. If you go looking in every single area that's outlined here, and there may be more, right, that I didn't cover when I originally designed this slide, the system file gets touched, it gets tattooed. Other ones like System32 and other files and program data, the registry, the profile area, they get tattooed normally, but with this, they look like they're there, but if you were to stop the application, it's like a light switch. The application totally goes off. It disappears, and it happens that instantly when you unattach an application or stop our service, and that Windows OS is kept as pristine as the day that you made it. So it's going to run more efficiently with that. So we'll show you how to package an app in a bit. There's a packaging console that runs on a virtual machine that you would package apps, but it's really easy. You hit that create button and then you fill out a field here for where you want it saved. I'm not going to go into this because Johnny's going to show you the demo. And then if you have dozens or hundreds of applications, FlexApp features the industry's only fully automated application packaging. I like to say, get all your installers, put them out on a file share, point to it, go and set our FlexApp automated packaging to start. It even will work with silent switches, just like SCCM can do, to where those radio buttons are named off in the preferred order and things like that. So you can download silent switches for it too. And you set it off on a Friday, and it goes through these with, in this case, with 3 different capture machines. You can have more than that. They self-reset back to a Windows restore earlier point in time every time an app's done, so it's kept clean on what it's capturing. And then the output, in the case of FlexApp One, is a single container file, and you're ready to test and deploy those applications on Monday when you come back in. Could go through dozens or hundreds of applications over a weekend and have zero interference. Now, just because an application comes out the other end and tests and for some reason doesn't launch, doesn't mean we can't do it. We've also got our expertise and our support and some recipes for some very difficult applications. Maybe they have a licensing scenario or something that we take into account. But again, you can get to somewhere between 90 to 100% of your applications done this way, and the FlexApp packaging automation totally sets Liquidware apart in the way that we deliver our apps. So I'm excited now to point to Johnny Ma. He's going to show a demo of many of these things I discussed today. And Johnny, take it away and share your screen. Thanks.
Alrighty, everyone can see my screen, correct? Just making sure.
Yes.
Correct.
All right, so we're going to walk through the process of how we build a FlexApp One application, and then also create an app packages source to discover the FlexApp One application inside of Web Studio. So I'm going to pop over to my FlexApp packaging console. This is where you do the normal package authoring and creation and updating and those types of notions. And packaging is as easy as firing up the software, clicking the create button, defining the name of the package and the version as you deem fit. In this instance, I'm packaging 7-zip here. And I'm going to leave everything else by default. By default, we'll also create the FlexApp One. You can go into the default override if you don't want it to, but in this case, since we are showing FlexApp One, it makes sense to make that a thing. If you, by mistake, uncheck that, create the application, you can go back and have a convert FlexApp into FlexApp One type of configuration as well. That's built into this piece of software. So I'm going to click the create button. It is going to create a VHDX for me to install the application into. And I'm going to click start to begin the recording process. And when it tells me that it is ready to record, we are ready to start. So as of this point in time, the only real thing for me to do here is to install the application as normal. So I right click, run as administrator, close. The application is in that VHDX on this machine at the moment. I can elect to run it if I wanted to, just to confirm everything is functioning the way it needs to function. But safe assured that I'm really good with what 7-zip does. So I'm just going to click the finish button here so that it gets to the part where we want it to be. So you'll see in here that it is creating the FlexApp One for 7-zip as such as well. And I'm going to save it. It's going to ask me to define this icon to make it pretty in this console. And that's what it's going to do. There we go. So now if I pop over to my C drive location, I was packaging offline and I'm saving the contents of both the FlexApp and FlexApp One application packages on the C drive of this machine. So in order for it to be discoverable by DaaS's Web Studio, I need to put the FlexApp One package on a network share. So I'm going to copy this application, transfer it over to my FlexApp One share. And there we go. So now I'm going to minimize out of the FlexApp packaging console. And at this point in time with the FlexApp packaging console, you would roll a snapshot back to a clean state so that you're ready for the next application. But we are in Citrix DaaS's Web Studio at the moment. And on the left-hand pane, we're going to go to the app packages node here. Earlier, it didn't clean up. So I am going to purge my existing packages. It's fine. All right, cool. So what we're going to do is add and define a source where these FlexApp One packages live. So I'm going to click add source here. We do have to define a name. Not very creative in the name because we're just here to serve the purpose so everyone knows what we're doing here. And I have to select a delivery group that has the AppV personalization piece in there. Otherwise, it won't be able to discover. We still have to utilize that piece to actually pull in any of the app packages that are available inside of Web Studio. And then I'm going to check the radio button for network share and define my network share. And then since we're interested in discovering FlexApp packages, I'm just going to uncheck everything else and check that. And I can elect to tell it to comb subfolders if there were any in this situation. There aren't, but we can just leave it on by default. So in case down the road there are, it will automatically pick stuff up if you want to organize it into subfolders as such. So I'm going to click the add source button here. It's going to make sure the source is a valid path. We didn't typo anything. And then it's going to automatically scan the source for FlexApp One packages, which we should see here very shortly. So we see that, my source is valid. Everything is cool here. And once again, it's told to come back and look in subfolders. If you create more applications down the road, you can have it automatically scan from here, and it'll automatically pick up those FlexApp One packages such as well. So if I go to my application packages section here, I'll see that I picked up that 7-zip application that we defined. It automatically found that it was a FlexApp One package format, including the location and the executable as such. We do have multiple applications that it discovered in there. One of them is a help file. Just the help file comes with 7-zip, like it or not kind of situation. When we assign it to our delivery group, we'll actually elect to make it so that we only primarily launch the file manager app, not the help file application. So I'm going to click on assign to a delivery group right now. I'm going to uncheck the help file and so that we're just presenting the normal file manager app. And then I'm going to pick the delivery group that I want to launch it on. So when I come through the process and assign it to delivery group now, I have an application in the applications node. So just as we would do on any other Citrix published application, we can come in and rename it just so that we know what we're doing here. I can limit the visibility in addition to whatever I want to have by default that's coming from the delivery group. And we're good, right? So I just changed it to denote it as a FlexApp One just so that we can clearly, definitively know who's doing what to who here. And it's ready for me at this point in time to log into DaaS and pull the application. There's a pesky bar here to prevent me from, and move the window around. And I'm going to log into my workspace right now. Once this authenticates me through, it might take a second or two for the new application to show up. Nonetheless, here we go. At this point in time, I can favorite the application if I would like. And I'm ready to launch the application. So here we're launching it as a seamless published application. We'll also show shortly after this application's running, we can also launch it as a desktop. And Citrix's VDA is actually programmed to take all the app packages, regardless if it's ours or in this other instance, I have a few MSIXs. It'll actually combine those into the start menu, and we can run those applications on the desktop as such as well. There we go. There's our 7-zip file manager application running here. Fully functional, do whatever I need to do on that machine with it. I'm good with what we have here. I'm going to exit the application, and now I'm going to launch a desktop. And the desktop, we're going to show the integration and how it kind of combines all the app packages, applications into the start menu. So I'm going to process ourselves here, log in, load profile, all that fun stuff that exists in our worlds. And when I pull up the start menu, I should get some applications here. So the Audacity and the tree size and the VLC player, all are MSIX packages. And then our 7-zip file manager is the brand new guy that we're running here, just to prove everything runs side by side, including my out-of-date version of Audacity. That is really short and sweet and very simplistic to deploy FlexApp Ones into Citrix environment with DaaS's Web Studio. I can go in on the back end as an administrator and show you what things look like as such as well, assuming the bar wants to participate for me and cooperate with me. Because when you have Zoom's little dialog box pop up, it kind of eats up the screen. So I'm logging into that same machine as a local admin, and we'll take a peek at what exactly it did. So if I go into disk management, you'll see that my 7-zip application is a mounted VHDX through the FlexApp One application set. If I come into task manager, right, I see my other user on the system running both that Audacity and that 7-zip file manager that were launched by that person as a published application. And then as such, wrong directory, come out here and 7-zip is on this machine as if it was native. There's no distinguishing it. It doesn't even know that it doesn't technically live on this machine as an installed application. That wraps things up here. If there are questions, feel free to send them in the chat and we can address them either, as we receive them or as, on the Q&A section that we have. Thank you. Back to you, Jason.
Thanks. I've got a few, we'll outline what the requirements are so you can run this too, and we'll show you. We'll also show you some, a way that you can download some of these packages that we promised earlier. All right. So, Johnny, would you like to cover some of the requirements in Yashu jointly, if need be, the requirements to run this?
Yeah, basically, long story short, is we need a VDA 23 and 11 or beyond if you're just delivering applications. 2402's VDA is required to deliver both applications and the applications integrated into the start menu from the app packages node. As of right now, it is Web Studio based inside of DaaS only. Upcoming CR release will present it for on-prem customers. And there is a VDA functional level that we require. It needs to be 2206 and above to make that happen for FlexApp One. And when you install the VDA, we need that Citrix personalization for app v feature. By default, it is not checked. You just go in there and you check the other additional piece and you're good to go. Otherwise, it's network share permissions and read-only permissions for the various pieces so that we can pick up those applications and inject them into the operating system for the VDA.
That's great. So there's documentation on the Liquidware site on this, and you'll see in the chat window, we'll put in the links to the documentation for the Liquidware site, and also on the Citrix documentation site, there's documentation that will point to there as well. So look for those. I know you can't click on this URL, but you can click on them in the chat window or at least copy and paste them back out where you have those locally. But we'll go through the requirements. You will go through the requirements when you see this page, so you'll see a recap of what is involved there, like, for example, version 23.11 and later for DaaS, and then the other requirements that were spoken about by Johnny.
We do have a question.
I addressed it and answered it. Basically, someone asked, I unchecked the help file. And what if the user wants to launch the help file? Long story is, that's the published application side of the world. Traditionally, we want to publish the purpose of the application, the core application functionality out of it, not necessarily a help file. You can publish the help file to the user if you would elect to, but if they were to go into the app and do a help about or help and launch that same help file, it launches as normal.
Right. We'd be glad to take any other questions at this time.
We do have another question in the chat. Do you support Windows 10/11 Enterprise on-prem infrastructures? I see only Windows 10/11 multi-session on your slide.
We support Windows 10 or 11 single session, multi-session. We support server operating system with this configuration. It's all good, right? From the on-prem perspective of what you're discussing, the VDA can run on-prem. I just showed you a demo where the VDA is running on a couple of hypervisor hosts that are sitting right behind me, while the DaaS control plane is the one that's doing the integration piece of it.
We're looking at the CVAD port part to complement what's been done in DaaS. Citrix is working on that now, and it'll be at a later date.
Okay.
So it's important to announce that, or to reiterate that FlexApp and even FlexApp One has been compatible with Citrix for a long time now. This is integration directly Web Studio being able to apply these packages. So we've had many joint customers and we that have deployed it with our management control plane known as the Liquidware management console that comes with both Profile Unity and FlexApp, and you have your context-aware settings and things like that. So we've had many joint customers for many years with FlexApp in that way. This is specifically about being able to use Citrix Web Studio and be able to go directly and stay within one control plane, the Citrix control plane, and to deploy these applications directly that way. So it's a unique way of doing that. It puts it side by side in there with Microsoft AppV and MSIX, if you're using those in there as well. And then any other, and as I understand, maybe even Citrix App Layering will have options in there too, right, Yashu? In that area eventually.
Yes.
So
that's right.
it gives customers choice. It gives customers choice on how they want to deliver their applications through any of those technologies through one control plane. So I just wanted to reiterate that we've been compatible with Citrix for a very long time with FlexApp. If you want to run FlexApp on-prem with CVAD today, we fully support that. And it's the same licensing scenario from Liquidware that you would choose when you get the license from us under subscription, and you're able to do it either way. So don't let that hinder you rolling out FlexApp with CVAD. You can get to the same result today, and then if you choose to later deploy those as FlexApp ones with Citrix Web Studio with CVAD, you'll have that option. So, any other questions? All right, great.
I don't think so.
Yep.
I think we're all caught up.
Okay, great. Well, here's one more thing I want to let everybody know is that we have those prepackaged applications, and I've got a link to that. I'm trying to advance the slide. There we go. Again, I realize you cannot really follow a barcode from a webinar, but you can bookmark this, use your phone, bookmark it, and it'll be in your browser bookmarks that are shared out. You can bring that up. Or we're going to put the URL that you see at the bottom. We're going to paste it right in here into the chat window. Once you get to that page, you'll see that there are, we ask for a very short thing, maybe something this as simple as your email, and then you'll be able to immediately see FlexApp One packages. I think Slack's in there, Teams is in there. A fun one Pinball that used to be an
Pinball's
older
in
version of
there. I
Windows.
think Darktable is in there for like an image editor.
Yep.
VLC players in there. You can just grab a whole slew of them.
Yeah, a lot of applications that we didn't have to worry about the licensing, right, to share those out, those types of applications, and you'll be able to just trial those directly into your Citrix environment. Remember the requirements there to be able to use it through Citrix Web Studios is that 2311 version or later, and the other requirements that we discussed in there. But that URL will get you right there. You wouldn't even have to package up an app to try this out today. By the way, you can use those apps also if you don't have direct access to your Citrix environment. You can double click on those and run those on the laptop. Those are FlexApp One applications, and they'll run in that scenario as well. Remember, I said apps anywhere. Once they packaged, they'll work anywhere. And then when you do have access to your Citrix environment to try it, you can try that out.
Hey, Jason, before we depart, can you go back one slide? There was a question about the previous question screen.
Yep.
Basically, the question is does the image on the question slide clock say it is 124C, the workstation on Mars? On the bottom right-hand corner, there's that clock that for
it might, stock art. I'm sure we didn't really take that picture. Whoever the creative person of the stock art that we had access to may have.
That's some attention to detail, though. That's
right?
Impressive.
They say it's 5 o'clock somewhere in that other song and stuff, and maybe it's 10:10 somewhere too. I don't know, maybe on Mars. Great and fun question. Thanks. And we look forward to seeing any of you out and about as we do events in different regions through our channel partner network. We'll also be at Microsoft Ignite. I believe Citrix will probably be there too this fall in October. But if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at any time at sales@liquidware.com, and you can reach us at our website. And you can also follow any of those links to the joint documentation we had on both of our sites. Any parting thoughts, Johnny and Yashu?
I'm all good here.
I'm good as well.
Well, thank you so much for attending today, Kristen.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. You will receive a link to this recording within 1 business day, so you can review or share it with a colleague. And we'll be back next month for our next month's webinar is in August, and that will be on command control. So take a look out there for the registration link for that should be out shortly. Thanks, everyone, for attending. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Everyone, have a good day.